welcome to my virtual campfire. Glen Richardson, the founder of the British UFO Network, and also the founder of the Northern England Paranormal Society, is joining me today. And I'm just really excited to find out what kind of conversations you guys are having over on the other side of the pond. I'm in Seattle, and I know you're in England. You can explain to me where you are.
Pleasure being here. Yeah, I'm in a town called Hartlepool. It's in the northeast of the UK. It's a small population, but yeah, that's basically where I'm based.
Being from Seattle, we have Mount Rainier to the south of us, and Mount Rainier is a hotspot for UFOs. In fact, they just recently named Mount Rainier to Mount Adams is the UFO capital of the United States, which I was kind of surprised because we have a lot of places in the US that have real hotspot activity. Do you have that where you're at?
A place called Northumberland, where we do, which is about an hour's drive from where I'm based. And over the years, I would say the increase of UFO activity has increased quite a lot over the few years. For whatever reason, I'm not too sure, but it has increased quite a lot. But regards to my own sort of research and investigation, I do the whole of the UK. It's not just obviously where I'm based, but yeah, it's increased for quite a lot over the years.
I've been hearing that from a lot of people. I had my first encounter in 1996, and then repeatedly throughout the years, I've had seen things, had contact. I think I am slightly guided in a way by some by a mothership is the only way I have to describe it. But I do think that since coronavirus started, since the lockdowns, I know that I've heard increased activity over New York City. I've heard increased activity over the entire United States in general. And then one thing that I notice is that it seems like people want to talk about it more. I know that when I used to explain some of my stories to just not UFO nerds, but like just normal people, they'd be like, that's crazy. or just kind of look at me like I'm nuts. So what have you noticed in the day-to-day interactions and just like people's conversations in general?
Over the years, like I say, when I first started this, the stigma attached to UFOs and aliens, it was a big stigma attached to it, and people sort of embarrassment because of maybe getting ridiculed. But I think as time has gone on, people are more open now, which is great. The reason I don't know the reasons why they feel more open, but I just feel that it's getting more popular. Like you say, I know I have friends over in the US who do the same thing, and they say themselves that majority of the population believe in the existence, and they do over the UK. And I think if the truth did come out and we did have evidence and proof that these things did exist, I think if you speak to most majority of the population, the response would be, well, yeah, we knew that. You know what I mean? It's just grown, and which is good, because at the end of the day, it's not nice being ridiculed. It's terrible. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people, especially with abduction cases, it's a bit more sensitive, and and they're wanting help to find out of what exactly is going on. So yeah, it's great. Like they can come forward to people like myself and other people out there do exactly the same thing. But yeah, I think times have changed and it's a lot more acceptable now, which is good.
Yeah, I agree. I think people are more open to hearing other people's stories and thinking, well, that didn't happen to me. I can't like prove it, because a lot of these, cases don't have the empirical proof that people, humans seem to want. But when you experience it, it's like so it's but I think people are more open-minded these days about like, oh well, that didn't happen to me, but I could see how that could be scary, or you know, because a lot of times it's terrifying to see something you can't describe with words.
Well, that's it. Yeah, it is. It can be. And, you know, some of the stories I hear, you know, I think we've all seen things in the sky that we can't explain, but some of the stories that people come and share with me, you know, it's like it's more than just something in the sky. You know, it's like, whoa, hang on, you know, this is what's going on here. I just have a love for all things paranormal and unexplained. Uh, Majority of my life, I would say it's always been ufology, it's always been the UFO phenomena, but I've always had interest, like I say, in cryptozoology, um, spirits, ghosts.
What got you initially interested in studying UFOs?
I've I've always had a big interest in space and things unexplained, and it's unless you knew him, it's hard to explain. But my late father, he was sort of, you know, he was a typical old man who was like, "Ah, these things don't exist, they're not real." Um, and I was watching a program one day. I was in my teens, I think it was early teens, and he came in and he said, "I've seen a UFO." I'm like, "Yeah, okay." He's like, "No, seriously, I have." I said, "Right," because it was before you were born, and so I woke up in the middle of the night, and it sounded like your mother was hoovering. I'm like, "What's she doing hoovering?" He goes, so I got up, and there's your mum lying in bed. I'm thinking, what? So he goes, so I went downstairs, could still hear it, and then all of a sudden, it just lit the room and the sky outside a red and orange light. He goes, you know, it was blinding, couldn't see anything. He goes, and I opened the front door, to have a look out, and then within seconds, the noise and the lights just vanished. And he said, and for a few days was in the local paper, although people had seen it. And it just fascinated me because, you know, I'm thinking, he's being serious here. And my dad doesn't believe in things like this. So it just got me more interested. And I was just, obviously, it was more, to start off, it was more research. I was reading books and case files, whatever I could get my hands on. And I came across this book, it was a fascinating book called Alien Investigator, and he was an ex-policeman, and it was about his experiences and obviously how he was an investigator and things. It was a fascinating book, and he was like I say, an ex-policeman, and he had his own experience, and then he started investigating things, and I just found it fascinating how he was going out and investigating. So I thought that would be absolutely amazing, just going out and speaking to people who had these experiences. So I put an advert in a magazine, UFO magazine. It was actually called UFO magazine. It doesn't exist, unfortunately, now because the editor and the owner passed away suddenly. But it was an amazing magazine, and I was getting calls about 10 a day, some stuff like that. You know, it was really,
Wow.
the amount was unbelievable. And I'd travel all over the UK. And then listen to these stories, it was just so fascinating. And it sort of, for men, it got into like the investigation side. It was, and you learn things and you pick up things, and obviously over the years, technology changes because, as far as I remember, there wasn't mobile phones when I first started, and obviously the internet was very good. Our main goal is to help people. That's what it is, because I know a lot of people out there, and this is no criticism. You know that it's more of an event, if you want to call it, because they'll hire a location and they'll sell tickets for people to come in, and it's more of, like you say, it's more of an event for me. It's not but how we work is we don't do none of that. We just focus on helping people in their own homes or property to find out exactly what's going on, and we do go in with an open mind. You know, we're not necessarily looking for ghosts, we're looking for answers, you know, because it could be a logical explanation of what these people are experiencing. So basically, you know, that's how we work. We go in and, you know, we try and debunk claims that they're having, and that's not in a disrespectful way. when I use the word debunk, it's just, like I say, we're trying to find answers, and might not always be in the paranormal field, if that makes sense. You know, it could be logical.
I mean, I think that's a really awesome mission to be helping people, because I think that you know, they when you see something that you can't explain, when that happens in your brain, you kind of question everything that is around you all the time. So if you have this like um, unknown something that you can't explain, and no one can explain it, and there's no answers, that can be really confusing and disorienting. And so I think that that is really awesome that your mission is to help people. What do you think of the theory that Sasquatch are interdimensional beings that travel between planets? Have you ever heard that?
I have heard that. If I'm honest with you, that's not something I believe in. I do believe in the Sasquatch, Bigfoot, but I just believe in it's something that's evolved, and you know, we haven't come across, if that makes sense. You know, or well, I say we haven't come across. Obviously, some people have come across the Sasquatch, but I just, you know, it's, you look at some of these places where these things have been seen, and it, you know, it's just like the ocean. You haven't got a clue what's in there. You know what I mean? It could be anything, and I just think it's you know, it's just another creature that is evolved on Earth. If I'm quite honest with you, here you've probably heard of it, the Loch Ness monster in Scotland. You know, it's obviously, we've given it the title monster because we don't know exactly what it is, but the theory has it that it's a plesiosaur, you know, a dinosaur that's escaped extinct. So it's sort of like, not as monster per se, you know, per se. It's just something that at one point, like a lot of things, has escaped extinction, and it's still around, and it was a plausible theory, because at one point the loch was connected to the sea. Now, if there's something there now, that's a total different story. But at some point, you know, it is plausible, and it's just the same with Bigfoot. It's just something I believe that's evolved on the earth at some point. And I get asked the question, well, how can you believe in aliens and God? And I'm like, why can't I? Who says that they're not connected in some way? You know what I mean? Why does it have to be one and not the other? You know, and it I just think people don't look at the big picture, and you know, it's, well, you know, why do you believe that there's life out there? You know, what proof is there? I'm like, well, you're looking at proof. We are proof that either evolution or through religion, life has evolved on a planet. Now, there's millions and millions of planets out there. You can't tell me it's only happened to once. You know what I mean? I just don't believe that. You know what I mean? It's for me, it's crazy to think that people don't believe that's happened to once. But I think people look at it as if like we're here and they're out there, but we are out there as well. You know, and I would say it's more scary to think that we are alone. And people go, well, okay, fair enough. But to come here, they'd have to be more advanced in technology. Why can't they be? Who says we are? You know, just people have this. So yeah, there might be. Why would they come here? Well, listen, this is what we've been doing for decades, looking for proof. You know what I mean? And you can't tell me, if we knew exactly there was a planet there that did have life on it, we wouldn't be doing our best to get there. Of course we would. One case I was working on, it was actually up in the Durham area in the UK, and it hit the witness. She was fine with it because it hit the press as well. It was in the papers and everything. But she got in touch, and unfortunately, there was no video or photographic evidence, but the story and the backup claims that I got, it just fit in. It was like, okay, what else could it be? But she said she witnessed 3 objects flying in the sky. 2 were military Apache helicopters. So it wasn't just a case of she knew that they were helicopters. They were Apache. She knew the make, and she didn't recognize the third object. So doing the investigation, I got in touch with the British government, the Ministry of Defence, and they were, they were really cooperative. And the guy I spoke to confirmed at the same time, and in the area, there were 3 objects, but they were all Apache helicopters, but wouldn't say the purpose of why they were there. Now, for me, that just sort of backed everything she was saying, but obviously she was adamant that was 2 Apache helicopters, and he confirmed that the Apache helicopters were there, but he's stating that there were 3. And I thought to myself, no, you're not telling the full story. You know, a lot of things have been secret, and in some ways, I understand the reasons why these things. But going back, you know, like going back years and years to Roswell, you know, it was years before, you know, the US government came out and admitted that Area 51 existed, because they had to, because obviously technology is as advanced over the years, and Google Earth and stuff like that we've come across, you know. And so, and people ask me the question about Area 51, do I believe that, you know, that there's things there? No, I don't. Not now. I did originally. Obviously with the Roswell crash and things like that, I do believe then. But obviously with it being in the public eye so much, I think it'll be crazy if they did have anything there. You know what I mean? And obviously there's rumours now and speculation that there is another base somewhere, that there's a possibility that they might have alien technology there, which I'd say is more convincing than Area 51 now.
I definitely think governments in general know a lot more about extraterrestrials than they let on to you know, believe. And sometimes I wonder why. Like I think humans can handle the truth, but I guess it's control. I guess that's the, you know, control of
Well,
power.
that's it. I totally agree. You know, I think public would handle the truth of the existence, but would they handle the truth of the reasons why they're keeping it secret? You know, that's the scariest thing. Why they're keeping it secret? You know what I mean? It must be a lot more than just, oh yeah, they exist. You know what I mean? We have proof that they exist. You know what I mean? As far as I'm aware, I think they're coming out now and saying, yeah, there is proof. So it's, you know, it's I think the questions now is, why are they keeping it secret, or why were they keeping it secret? Because I don't think it has anything to do with, you know, might cause mass hysteria or anything like that. There's other reasons why. I'm going to stick my neck out here, and I think it's in connection with the abduction cases. I think it's more on the lines of that. How are they, you know, and people might think I'm crazy saying this, but this is, you know, this is my belief, and I don't care what people think of me. I've been doing this so long now, you know, but I believe there's a possibility that is this what they're trading human life for technology? You know, some of the technology we have that's established over the years, like I say, the stealth bomber, yes, it's man-made, but with what? And is that a possibility?
I wonder if we'll ever know, you know, like in our lifetimes, maybe. I don't know.
I think we will.
Yeah.
I do. I honestly believe that we will. You know, it's like I say, technology's just increased so much over the years, and I think, you know, I think it's a big possibility that we will find proof.
You're right, because like, just think about even you and I connecting from as far apart geographically as we are, and having a conversation on this level. I think, you know, that's adding to the whole mix of it in general, just, you know, wondering, because it's in our consciousness. So if it's in, you know, if it's in your consciousness and my consciousness, these questions of like, why, then and then having the conversation about it, and other people think it too. I know that there's people that will hear this video and they'll be like thinking of, yeah, I've been wondering the same thing, like why are they keeping it a secret? And then maybe all of that will get so loud that they'll maybe will be part of the reason that they have to start saying why, and giving more answers. Because I know that the US government said they were doing their disclosure, but it was sort of like a snoozer.
Yeah. It was the same over in the UK when they started releasing UFO files in the archives down in London, and people have paid good money to see these files, and I've had a look myself, and a lot of the stuff's just blanked out. You can get the file, it's not a problem, but a lot of it's just blanked out. So it's like, well,
What's the point?
yeah. Oh yeah, crop circles. Yeah, they're very popular in the UK, crop circles. And the same thing again. It's sort of, yes, we all know a big portion of crop circles are man-made. Unfortunately, there's people out there who just like to mock people, and but I look at these crop circles, and again, looking at the bigger picture, I don't believe going back yet. These things have gone back hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years ago. These things, they just haven't developed overnight. And I don't believe for 1 minute someone just woke up, the very first crop circle and woke up and thought, I'm going to do a circle and blame it on aliens. You know what I mean? They've got this idea from somewhere.
Right.
And obviously, if you look at investigations regarding of what I would say a legit crop circle, you know what I mean? There's radiation and things like that, where when someone's just made a crop circle themselves that hasn't got that, and it's the formation of how the crop's been formed, with obviously with the paddle or the bit of wood they use, and it's totally different from other crop circles, you know what I mean? And again, I'm not saying is something from another world, but there is a difference between the two, you know what I mean? And like I said, going back over to the bigger picture, it's like someone just hasn't decided to do this. You know what I mean? They've got the idea from somewhere.
Have you visited a crop circle that you think is like a legit one?
As in legit, but I would probably say, yeah, I do believe that it wasn't man-made. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's I don't know how other people feel with these things, but when I was younger and started off with my investigations regards to crop circles, I used to think, is it basically where the UFOs landed and stuff like that? Now, I don't look at that now. That sort of theory. My theory is that, is it more of a communication? Is it more because a lot of the shapes have meanings to them, and is it actually the craft that's doing it? I don't believe it is. What I think is that, and I've seen video footage of this as well, and a lot of people have come forward I've spoke to about as well, is like a Sophia, like a greenish ball of light, how they explain it. And I've seen video footage on YouTube and things like that where it's been floating around the crops, and when it's gone, there's been a crop circle. So I'm more sort of going to the belief of, is this, it's come from a craft, say, it's not necessarily the craft itself, but is it more of a communication rather than just a landing site? But I've had a lot of people come forward regarding these little balls of light, and move around as if it was like some sort of craft itself. It wasn't just a light.
Yeah. I know, like, I've been to a place on Mount Shasta that they say a Pleiadian ship landed, and I had like an overwhelming feeling there. When you have visited crop circles, do you get like a intuitive feeling at all, or like would you guess at what the message might be? or is it just, I don't know.
Me personally, no, I don't. But I do have this belief, as in, you've probably heard of the term experiencer,
Mhm.
where I do believe that them obviously not being abducted, but experiencing sort of some sort of communication with these beings themselves. Um, and when you people obviously these people visit these things and having these sensations, is that the reason why? And is that the reason why these people are having multiple sightings or experiences? If you know what I mean, it's sort of,
Mhm.
that's one of my theories and something I do strongly believe in. Uh, because yeah, I've seen things, but nothing dramatically. But I do believe that, that regards to experiences, this is why for whatever reason, they've been chosen, and that's why they're having multiple sightings and having these feelings of when they get into these crop circles, regards to the messages and things like that.
I do notice that people that are experiencers, like you're talking about, whether they see a craft or beings or enter a craft or whatever it is, it happens repeatedly throughout their lives. And another thing that I've noticed, is as a common thread, is that people will see something um, at some point in their life, but then they'll keep it in their subconscious for years
Yeah.
before they actually tell the story or vocalize it. Have you noticed that?
Oh yeah, I've noticed that quite a lot. Could that be partly uh, possibility abduction? I don't know. And because you find that a lot with abduction cases, that things at the back of the mind they don't know, and then they have hypnotic regression and things like that, and then obviously stuff comes out. But I've come across abduction cases where, and it's again, it's like, when you talk to people who don't believe, and they're like, they might believe things out there, but like abduction thing, I don't think that's a bit like sci-fi. I'm like, it's, you need to talk to these people, you know what I mean? And it's different. I've come across people who don't believe in it themselves, but they're having these
Right.
experiences, you know what I mean? And
Yep.
I know a few people across the UK who do hypnotic regression, and they've had this regression, and these things have come out, and it's fascinating because you think, well, a lot of people think, oh, these people who have these abduction experiences, that the believers and stuff like that. It's not always the case, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
they do question themselves, is it something in me head, or is it real? And as much as I absolutely uh, sleep, eat the subject, you know what I mean? I love it. It's fascinating. That's a scary place to be for a human being, you know what I mean? And it's it's not just scary of thinking of what could be going on. It's a scary feeling. Well, if it's not, is there something wrong in my head? And it's
How did this get into my head?
yeah,
That's exactly what happened to me when I first had this experience in 96. Uh I just didn't, I was like, did I make it up? And then I remember in like 2007, a friend of mine who I thought was a radical thinker, just like one of those people that's kind of out there. And I explained just part of the story, just the only part that I could say in words. And he just looked at me and was like, "Oh, you were abducted." And I was like, "What?" Like, no, like, because I didn't believe that was possible. Even though, like, I think I had an experience, I was completely pushing it aside. And then he's like, "No, seriously, like, I've read hundreds of these stories and they all sound like your story." And I was like, "That's weird." And so then that's why I started investigating it, because I wanted to know more answers. and
yeah,
and I started reading the stories, and I was noticing these common threads. And I definitely ended up doing hypnotherapy, because that just seemed like a good way to get things to come out. And even sometimes I'm like, I don't know if I believe my own self.
it might sound strange, but only people like ourselves will understand it. And you know, it's like I say, it's not nice for people with, you know, having these experiences of abduction, because it's totally different. It's a different side of it. You know, it's not nice what they're going through, but at least, you know, there's people like ourselves out there who gives them someone to talk to, even if they don't want to take it any further, or, you know, it's someone to talk to who they're not going to get ridiculed, who's going to believe them that they're having these things, you know, and that's what it's about.
It's a really cool mission you have to help people with things like this, because I know from experience, it is hard sometimes to find people. It's getting easier though,
Yes,
nowadays.
it is.
And are you finding that you're moving outside of England with your research, or do you still stay pretty focused?
I'd be like, well, I know people out there in Seattle who we can speak to. You know what I mean? I've done that many times
Yep.
before. I've had an abduction case right at the end of the UK, and unfortunately, I don't get paid for this. I don't charge people. You know, I do have a day job myself, unfortunately, and like I say, I do my best to get this, but I passed it on to somebody else who was based down there. You know what I mean? As long as that person
Yep.
got the help, you know what I mean? And that's the good thing about connecting with people beyond the UK, like the US. You know, it's great. I have a lot of friends on Facebook who are in the US, and it's great because, like I said, it's a broaden things, and you know, it's not just the UK that these things are happening; they're happening all over the world, and I feel like it is great, and absolutely appreciate that people do get in touch from other continents and other countries. You know, if whatever I can do to help these people, I'll do whatever I can. You know, and
I think one of the most important things is to share the stories, because um, obviously our governments aren't sharing the stories not very freely anyway.
no.
Um, and are super tight-lipped, and so it makes me think that we need to be kind of the opposite. Just,
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's the good thing that with social media is. I'm going to sound like an old fuddy duddy here. I must admit, I'm not one for social media. I don't like it, but I think it's great as a whole to with the power with ufology and things like that, because it helps people connect with other people, and you know, and sort of it's a platform where people can share their own experiences, and don't feel like they're going to be ridiculed because they're on a group page or whatever with everybody who's thinking the same as them. You know, they're all there for a reason. I have people all over the world that's on my group page, and it's great that they can all be connected and share the experiences and openly talk about it, and that's what it's all about.
yeah, I agree. It's about sharing the stories. I mean, that's how history used to be told.
Yeah, absolutely.
As, when you think about our evolution. And so yeah, I think we're supposed to be sharing these stories, and doing the work that you're doing, investigating and helping people, because I think the sooner we can collectively accept that there are other things. You could use any word you want, whether it's like aliens, robots, gods, like whatever it is that are out there that are different, or maybe the same as us. We don't even know. But I think collectively it's about reaching a space where we're all ready.
Absolutely, totally agree. Don't mind. I would just like to, you know, just reach out to people, and you know, uh, if they want to get in touch with me, obviously they can find me on social media, or email, which is British UFO Network at gmail.com. For people just to keep, you know, spreading the stories, keep sharing them. You know what I mean? You know, it's great that people are all connected. You know, you, they're not alone. And I know years ago people probably thought, you know, is it just me? Is it, you know what I mean? Millions of people having these experiences, you know what I mean? And don't feel like you're going to be ridiculed, you know, come forward, share these experiences. And the more people that do that, you know, the more answers we'll get. And eventually, I don't think the government can keep it quiet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The more and more people come forward, and, you know, it'd be great.
Yeah, I agree. And I was also going to say that anyone on your network that wants to explain their close encounter story, like I'm happy to put those on my podcast and on my YouTube as well,
Ready?
because I think that I just think it's important that we share. And I know I've been sitting around campfires and people have shared stories, and they said, this was the first time I actually said the story out loud, you know? And so if I know a lot of people write the story on your page, but if anyone wants to say it and, you know, on camera, I'm totally open to hearing the stories and sharing them.
Excellent. That'll be great.
Yeah. Yeah, this is cool. This is super cool. I love the connection and the collaboration, and
Absolutely.
it's yeah, it's awesome.
Thank you very much. It's yeah, it's been a privilege being here. You know what I mean? It's like I said earlier, you know, it's great that, you know, we can connect to other countries, and you know, we're all in it for the same reason, and we need to connect. And I think
Yeah.
you know, it can only be a good thing and help, you know, help it all move forward.
Yep, I agree. Moving it forward, moving the storyline ahead.
Yep,
Awesome. Thanks, Glenn, for your time, and
no problem.
enjoy the rest of your day.
Excellent. Thanks now. You
Okay.
take care. Bye.
Okay. Bye.